This is CryptoKernels. I'm your host, Asa Kane. In this episode, we're going to be sharing with you breaking news in the case of FTX founder and CEO Sam Bankman-Fried. As many of you know, he actually just agreed to waive extradition, and he just arrived back in the U.S. yesterday. Now, we're going to talk more about that, but before we do so, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. That's the thumbs up icon that you see me scrolling over. It helps to share our video with others who want to learn. And also hit the subscribe button. It ensures that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes. You definitely don't want that to happen. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you something that I found from NBC News, Fair Use. And it just came out a couple of hours ago this morning, as a matter of fact. As you can see here, Sam Bankman-Fried back in the U.S. to face federal
Sam
fraud
Bankman-Fried
charges.
is back in the U.S. this morning after being extradited from the Bahamas on a series of fraud charges in connection to his company FTX. According to his attorney, Bankman-Fried was anxious to leave the Bahamas and is ready to, quote, make the relevant customers whole. And
Did you hear that? Make the relevant customers whole. Let me play this again for you.
ready to, quote, make the relevant customers whole. NBC News correspondent to leave the Bahamas and is ready to, quote, make the relevant customers whole. NBC News Crypto King Sam Bankman-Fried is back in the U.S. this morning after being extradited from the Bahamas on a series of fraud charges in connection to his company FTX. According to his attorney, Bankman-Fried was anxious to leave the Bahamas and is ready to, quote, make the relevant customers whole. And
now, when he speaks about relevant customers and making them whole, do you think he's talking about you? Do you think he's talking about that guy that had a couple of $1,000s in crypto on their platform, and he had that put away, or maybe he was getting ready to sell some of it to buy his kids Christmas gifts, or maybe he was getting ready to sell some of it to pay his rent?
New York City with the latest. Ron, good morning. Bankman-Fried landed in the U.S. overnight. What time is he expected to appear in court today, and what can we expect to see happen in the coming days?
Any moment now he's expected here, and one of the main issues is going to be whether he is granted bail. There's been some reporting suggesting that the defense and prosecutors have been discussing a bail arrangement whereby he would essentially remain under house detention wherever he chooses to live, that he'd be electronic monitoring, and of course he'd have to post probably a significant amount of money. He's facing very serious charges, 8 counts of conspiracy, fraud, campaign finance law violations, allegedly, that could land him in jail for the rest of his life if he's convicted. And the scale of this whole alleged fraud scheme was massive. And although it's crypto and it's very complicated, prosecutors and others have said it was pretty simple what he was doing. He was taking customers' money, spending it for himself, on real estate, on investments in other companies, on campaign donations, and then getting more money from customers and not telling them what the intent or what he was going to do with all these funds were. And as you said, he has been somewhat remorseful, says he wants to make things right and so forth. But the judge may decide, well, he needs to stay in jail awaiting a trial and deny him bail. Here's the U.S. attorney last night announcing that Bankman-Fried was on his way from the Bahamas to the United States. Take a listen.
Samuel Bankman-Fried is now in FBI custody. He will be transported directly to the Southern District of New York, and he will appear in court before a judge in this district as soon as possible.
Again, we expect him to be in court any minute this morning sometime. We saw his mother arrive as well to support him, and this is expected to be a pretty brief hearing, but again, mostly about bail.
And Ron, 2 former FTX associates pleaded guilty to defrauding investors. They are now cooperating with the government. Does this change anything for Bankman-Fried, and how does this influence his case?
Okay, now this article I'm getting ready to share with you is from the New York Post. It was published today as well, a couple of hours ago. Written by Elizabeth Rossner and Jesse O'Neill. Now, as the title states, Sam Bankman-Fried to be released on a record $250 million bond. Again, Sam Bankman-Fried to be released on a record $250 million bond. Okay, let's see. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried is set to be released on a $250 million bond and placed under house arrest at his parents' Palo Alto home following his first court appearance in Manhattan Federal Court Thursday. U.S. District Judge Gabriel Gorenstein signed off on the deal that saw the accused fraudster voluntarily leave the Bahamas to face a slew of charges, including wire fraud, securities fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, and campaign finance violations. The charges carry a sentence of 115 years behind bars. He appeared in court wearing a dark gray suit and sporting a 5 o'clock shadow beard, in other words, and huddled with his lawyers, Christian Everdell and Mark Cohen, who represented high-profile sex offender Ghislaine Maxwell earlier this year. She was Jeffrey Epstein's co-defendant. Now, this right here, we can see Bankman-Fried was released in the custody of his parents. This is his mother, Barbara Fried, that we see pictured here. And federal prosecutors had a location monitoring specialist at their table today and agreed to release Bankman-Fried into the custody of his parents, Stanford University law professors Joseph Bankman and Barbara Fried. Assistant U.S. Attorney Nick Roos said he believed the bond, which was to be signed by the defendant, his parents, and a non-family member, was the highest pretrial bond the feds have ever offered. Again, U.S. Assistant Attorney said that it was the highest pretrial bond the feds have ever offered in the history of our country. Think about that. This is happening today. This just happened a couple of hours ago. The deal was prearranged, sources told the Post. Okay, wait. Again, the deal was prearranged. That means that it was agreed to before today. Sources told the Post, and came after Bahamian authorities handed over Bankman-Fried to U.S. officials Wednesday, after the fallen mogul agreed to waive an extradition hearing and faced the music in Manhattan. Officials in the Caribbean country had denied his request for bail after the alleged crypto crook was busted at an island resort. Under the deal, Bankman-Fried was required to turn himself into pretrial services in the Northern District of California Friday by 10 a.m. The suspect will be able to leave his parents' house for exercise and mental health and substance abuse treatment, and would be forbidden to make non-sanctioned transactions above $1,000 with the exception of legal fees. For bail, you must consider the weight of the evidence. This was a fraud of epic proportions. If that was the only test, detention would likely be appropriate, but he voluntarily consented to extradition. That should be given weight, argued Assistant U.S. Attorney Nick Roos. If he had resisted, we would have opposed release, but his assets have diminished. This is a financial crime, and he no longer works for FTX or Alameda. So risk to the community is a marginal consideration. We propose a restrictive bail package. That must be nice. Bankman-Fried is accused of illegally using investors' money to buy real estate, fund his trading firm, Alameda Research, and make political donations, a scheme which prosecutors liken to a house of cards built on a foundation of deception. FTX's value sunk from $32 billion to $1 billion after investors made a run on the token when it was revealed that the company used investments in its trademark token FFT to fund Alameda. Last month, the former multi-billionaire claimed he was down to his last $100,000, and his parents told friends that their son's legal bills will likely wipe them out financially. According to the Wall Street Journal, make it make sense. How do you post a $250 million bond? Okay. It's 25 times larger than the collateral officials demanded from disgraced Ponzi scheme financier Bernie Madoff. They got 25 million from Bernie. They got 10 times, 25 times that. No, Bernie might have, I think maybe 5 million. Do the math. Anyway, look, being flown to Gary Wang. Oh yeah, co-founder of FTX, and Carolyn Ellison, the former CEO of Alameda Research, and his ex-girlfriend copped to wire fraud. How recently did she become ex would be a question that asked, considering they were working with each other and living with each other until last week. That's a question for another time. Something else I want to share with you. Now, this is from insider.com. Okay, this was published this morning as well. We bring you relevant news first. Okay. Now, this was written by Jacob Shamasian just a few hours ago. So Jacob's hard at work just like we are. Now, look, Sam Bankman-Fried was granted release on a $250 million bail at a court hearing Thursday. Prosecutors allege he siphoned money from his cryptocurrency exchange. Two of his top associates, Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang, have agreed to cooperate and are working with the prosecutors. He will be required to surrender his passport and stay with his parents ahead of a federal trial. Judge Gabrielle Gorenstein said Bankman-Fried will be fitted with an ankle monitor Thursday when he's expected to be released after the hearing in Lower Manhattan. The FTX founder was arrested on December 13th in the Bahamas, where his company is headquartered, as federal prosecutors in Manhattan unsealed an 8-count criminal complaint against him. He was flown to New York on Wednesday night after a Bahamian magistrate judge who denied him bail signed off. As Bankman-Fried arrived in the U.S., Damian Williams, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, announced that two of Bankman-Fried's associates, Caroline Ellis and Gary Wang, pleaded guilty to fraud charges stemming from the scandal and have agreed to cooperate with prosecutors. Wow. Prosecutors allege Bankman-Fried orchestrated a years-long fraud to hide from investors that he diverted funds from the FTX exchange to Alameda Research, a hedge fund he also controlled. Criminal allegations against Ellison and Wang first filed on December the 19th. That was 3 days ago. So what's that, Monday? Warren sealed in court on Thursday morning ahead of his first court appearance. Newly filed court documents in parallel civil proceedings from the Security and Exchange Commission and Commodities Futures Trading Commission allege that Ellison manipulated the price of FTX's in-house token, thus inflating the valuation of Alameda Research, the trading firm she led. According to the civil filings, Wang created software. To help divert FTX customer funds to Alameda. Okay, he created software, which Ellison misappropriated for Alameda's trading activity. The filings allege that Ellison and Wang were aware that Bankman-Fried's public statements about FTX's financial condition, risk management, and disentanglement from Alameda were false and misleading. Now, they're also saying that he's expected to be held in Metro Detention Center. Well, we know, okay, this was written right before he was released on $250 million bond this morning. As you can see here, so much is happening so fast. News is changing up by the hour. So we're all working independently, but you can kind of see we're all covering this story and sharing it with you. Wow. Well, he's probably either being released right now, headed to the airport, on his way back out to California. Now, we're actually located here in San Francisco. That's like an hour away from Palo Alto. Anyway, if the people that had their crypto on FTX would have had a ledger, cold storage wallet, one of these that you're looking at now, they would still have their money. 90% of all of you that have any amount of crypto, you do not have one of these. And I'm going to tell you, quite honestly, if you do not have a ledger and you have crypto on Coinbase or Binance or anywhere else, you're asking to get robbed. I mean, you're practically begging for it, to be quite honestly. If you look back on any video we've ever made thus far, I talk about this in every single video going back to last year. So if you're going to give your money away to FTX and all these other companies, contribute to our channel. At least you know here something good will happen with it. They even have family packs and backup packs. I actually bought a backup pack for myself and my progeny so that he could get in, store his crypto there, and it would be safe because I didn't want it to be stolen because he's that important to me and his well-being is that important to me. Now, you can get your wallet by clicking there on a link on our page. It takes you right to the official site. Also, if you haven't already, sign up to get a Coinbase account, and if you do so using our link that you see here, you can earn up to $40 in crypto that you can cash out and spend right away on gas or whatever, or you can actually sit it there and see what it does, let it grow. Also, with crypto.com using our link, you'll get $25 in crypto with your first deposit. So that's just a little bit of free money we're sharing with you guys. A last thing, if this has been beneficial to you, you receive value from it, contribute to our channel with any ERC20 token at our address in the description or Cash App. And before our next video comes out about this, go to our library. Look at all these videos that we have. We've been helping people make money since last year, life-changing money. It's not too late. I mean, you have to get knowledge. Where else can we have all the tools right here? Look at this. Look at this. You have to invest in yourself. And in the meantime, get in there and make it happen.